Hi, it's Robin. I just got back from the Vintage Computer Festival Midwest. Well, it says 17, but that's actually the 2022 badge. I think they're just recycling them. But it was VCF 19 from 2024. You can see here on the shirt that it says it's the 19th. I had a great time at VCFMW, as the kids call it. It was a new venue in Schaumburg, Illinois at their convention center, 50,000 square feet for the main floor, plus the speakers room and more. Probably the biggest retro computer show in the world, at least I'm not aware of a larger one. I saw lots of friends and patrons and patron friends and so on. Here's the layout of the show. Each of those little green rectangles is an 8-foot long or 2.4 meter table. The whole space was 268 feet long, that's about 82 meters, and somewhere around 370 tables full of vintage computer stuff with lots of wide walkways and space to move around without constantly bumping into thousands of computer nerds that were there. During Friday afternoon and evening, we were able to set up with plenty of time and had a lot of fun seeing friends and checking out what they had brought to display this year. So a little slideshow of pictures I took while I was there. There was this really nice display of some HP programmable calculators. Really, these were some of the very first portable computers available to the public. My friend Jason Compton found this third-party CPM disk for the Commodore 128. This isn't the one that Commodore released. We've never seen this before. We really don't know anything about it, besides what the labels say. We didn't manage to get to boot when we tried. If you know anything, leave a comment. A really neat display was the world premiere of Stargate for the Commodore 64. I recently covered C64 Defender, and this is the sequel made by Tom Greiner for Atari Soft, but was never released. Unfortunately, I didn't get any footage of it running, but they are going to release it publicly, I'm told. So I'll put links in the video description if I can find a place to download it. In fact, today I'm going to be showing and talking about a lot of things. If there's links, they will be in the video description, so I won't say that over and over again, but there's probably going to be 20 or 30 links there. This APF Imagination machine is a really rare and interesting computer and video game console from 1979. There's this fantastic display there about it, probably the most complete collection around. The idea behind the Imagination machine was that you could buy the video game console inexpensively for maybe $130, $150, and that was meant to compete with the Atari 2600. And then you could buy the docking bay with a full keyboard and tape drive to upgrade it to a full computer. Here's some pictures of the end of the setup on Friday night, including 1 or 2 panorama shots. You can get an idea of how enormous it is. And of course, there was the famous free pile, which had a ridiculous amount of stuff piled as the weekend went on. It started with this stack of desktop PCs, and there were even some rack servers in there, I think. Some of those PCs even worked. For the show, I brought my Commodore Max, but so did someone else who I never did end up meeting in person. That Commodore Max has the second highest serial number I've ever seen. I'm now fairly confident that about 40,000 Max machines were made using a bit of German tank math. And as far as I know, they were all released in Japan. There at the show were not 1, but 2 authentic Commodore 65 computers from the collection of Jim Brain. Back in the late 90s and early aughts, we used to see these set up and running at every show. Not just Jim's, but other people brought them too. But once the C65 started selling for $20,000 or more on auction, they didn't show up in public much anymore. So it was really cool to see them here again. My friend Jeff Daniels of Denial VIC-20 forum fame was at the show with his latest VIC game, this time called Steamed Hams. You might recognize the reference. I saw dozens of people trying it and having a good laugh while Jeff was at the show on Saturday. my friend David Yao noticed this Talent MSX DPC200 computer at the show. If you look carefully at the symbols on the keys, you might recognize a lot of similarities with the Petsky symbols on Commodore machines, especially how they have two symbols printed on the front of each keycap. There's lots of differences, of course, so I'm not saying it's like a ripoff of Commodore, but it certainly seems to take inspiration from the VIC-20 and C64 keyboards. A very neat MSX machine, which you don't see too often in the USA. And then there was this Commodore cash register. It was a Commodore PET modified to be a cash register, but it was started by a third-party company, I think in Texas, that Commodore ended up buying. And just as it was starting to get to production, it was canceled. I had no idea this thing existed. And take note, it has a receipt printer sticking out the top of the case and a security function key lock on the left under the monitor. I never thought I'd see a Commodore computer with a big red meat key, but there it is. Now, I can't hope to cover everything that was at this show, but of course there's many other videos about it here on YouTube, including one from my friend Ken at Canadian Retro Things. I carpooled down with Ken from Ontario through Minnesota and Wisconsin to go to the show. I had a lot of fun, nerdy conversations with him, and definitely check out his video about the show. There were so many interesting people and their projects, and I also collected a lot of neat stuff. Some are purchases, some are gifts from people at the show, which was a real surprise for me. So let's go through it all. Swag from the show, a book or two, Commodore 64 games, both new and vintage, and other projects. At the very end will be an update on the Ultimate SX64 project for my friend Eric that I showed a couple years ago. It's really ridiculous. As always, there's going to be chapter indexes so you can skip ahead to the next section if you're not interested in certain parts. So of course, I got the official shirt I do every year. And I think I might have a complete collection of every shirt they ever made. I'm not going to lie, this is my main wardrobe all year round. I basically have a whole bunch of VCFMW shirts and a couple band shirts. Thanks to my friend Six, who reserved the tables for a group of us and paid for them. That was something new this year. In previous years, the tables were free. Attendance is still free, but now the tables help supplement the huge rental cost of the venue. Thanks, Six. Oh, and the unintended side effect was that it was registered in his name, so some people told me they looked for me on the list of attendees or people displaying and couldn't find me, thought I wouldn't be at the show and were surprised to find me. So I didn't do that on purpose, but I don't really hang out in the YouTuber section. I've been going to this show and at previous shows for about 27 years now, so I'm not about to leave my friends behind. I saw Retro Combs there again. We did a crossover episode a while ago about the Plus 4. Neat to see him in his new little, I think it's a keychain, but look kind of like a Christmas ornament too. It's great to see him again. And then my friend Andy, who runs C64stuff.com, he's got the most extensive Commodore calculator collection that I know of. He didn't bring it this year, but in past years he's displayed it. And that's become a bit of a hobby for me too. I never thought of this before. You can get these custom poker chips made up with whatever printed. That's kind of a neat little promotional thing. It's got some weight to it. And here's these mouse mats that the Mega 65 team were giving out. And it's all the opcodes from the 45GS02 CPU, which of course is kind of like a more advanced version of the 6502. And they got that name, I think Commodore actually put a 4502 in the Commodore 65, which is the inspiration for the Mega 65 project. So it's not just a totally made up number. And so it's got all the opcodes there. It's got like this Q register. I think it's got a Z register, this map command. All kinds of extra stuff there. I'm sure this is available online somewhere. That map command is about doing the memory mapping somehow. I've never programmed it, but that's a really neat reference. So here's the stop bits, a new nerd rock band, and you might know I'm a little bit into nerd rock, make a bit myself. And that consisted of Action Retro on bass and drums, well, not at once, but they swapped instruments. Veronica Explains on guitar and vocals, and from the Taylor and Amy show, Taylor on guitar and sometimes bass and sometimes Sid and vocals, and Amy on vocals and percussion. And they had a song about 6502 opcodes that was excellent. In fact, I had tried to write a song just like that years ago, and it never really worked out. That's why I've never heard it in the end credits. And this mini poster here is some Petsky art from a BBS called Never Neverland BBS. If it's been around since '89, then that would be the 35th anniversary, though I thought I heard somebody say it was the 40th anniversary. So one way or another, it's a BBS that's still active, and there will be links in the video description. I've been a fan of Macintosh Librarian for quite a while, so it was neat to meet her and Mackie there, although I think they're just packing up for the end of the day, so didn't actually get talking. Maybe next year. Somebody was handing out these American Science and Surplus catalogs. I was kind of shocked to see this is volume 423. So I guess they've been at this for a while. It's kind of an old school catalog, just packed full of stuff. Not your mother's multimeter. It's just lots and lots and lots of stuff. Lab supplies and scales, materials and magnets. Militaria, communications and electronics. All kinds of stuff. Again, I saw Maiden Ariana of the Retro Alcove. Cute little baggie here. Was that a coaster? The Retro Alcove. What else is in here? Sticker. Ooh, shiny. Wow. Oh, that's kind of like a 1702 monitor there. And a little fridge magnet and a little button. The Retro Alcove. And my friends at Style were there. They had this little brochure creating demos, tools, and toys for your Commodore business machine. Snappy ROM by my friend Adrian Gonzalez. I've talked about that. Turbo Macro Pro. Never heard of it. C64 fonts. Turbo Macro Pro X. That's a cross-assembly version of Turbo Macro Pro. CCGMS X version 1. And that's like a Petsky terminal, I believe. Durmaster. It's a Windows GUI app for managing disks. It's really powerful if you run Windows. And that's at style64.org since 1991. Speaking of Style, my friend Romway of Style made this mouse mat. He said he's getting some made up, so he made one of Frogs and Flies. And if you don't know, this was the first commercial-ish game I ever worked on, and also the only game where I did the graphics and the music for it. Although my friend Darren Folds of GrewTube, he did the little frog sprites. They're excellent. That looks really nice. Thank you, Romway. Oh yeah, and I actually made a 2-hour video just about this, walking through the code of how I made this game, all the mistakes I made, and all the code in assembly language. So if you haven't seen that one and you complain I don't make enough assembly language videos, there's 2 hours of that for you. My friend Jason Compton gave me this book, The Associated Press Pocket Guide to Buying a Home Computer. And it is from 1983. And it's giving you all the basics about buying a computer and how to choose one and all this sort of thing. These kind of books are a lot of fun. An informative salesperson is invaluable in helping to select a computer that meets your needs. And why'd you buy this book? Ooh, there's some nice ones. Selecting hardware. Timex Sinclair 1000, Atari 800, TRS-80 Mall 100, Apple IIe. What? No Commodore? Ah. Also, Jason now has a podcast called The Retro Adventurers, specifically about text adventures and so on. Infocom, Level 9, Magnetic Scrolls, Scott Adams, and beyond. retroadventurers.com. So if you're into podcasts and you're into old adventure games, text adventures, definitely check out that podcast. It's a lot of fun. Thanks, Jason. So I picked up this A8 Pico cart. It's a cartridge for the Atari XL and XE line of 8-bit computers. And it contains a USB-C Raspberry Pi. Can we see that in there? So inside the cartridge, there's a USB-C plug. So when you plug that into your computer, this becomes like a flash drive, a USB drive, and you can load images onto here. And then you gotta unplug it, just like my Apple mouse. But you know, I mean that mouse that you have to lie upside down to charge it. Then you can plug it into your Atari, and it's like a flash cartridge. All right, and the person who designed it, they have this GitHub here. Oh, Robin. Hi, Robin. So I'll have to play around with that. And my old friend Jim Peters, who I've known for, 20-something years now, who just celebrated his 80th birthday. He's still doing real well. He was there and gave me this Fastload cartridge. Now, I did a video about Fastload about 5 years ago, so it's not like I don't have a Fastload, but the box I had was in really rough shape, and he was just watching that video again and had this spare that's just in excellent shape. So he gave this to me, so now I have a very, very nice looking Fastload cartridge box. So thank you, Jim. And while I was talking with Jim, he showed me a bunch of photos he had, and he didn't mind me taking pictures of them. More slideshow. So here's what a retro computer show looked like back around 2004 or 2005. I'm not certain. And this was down the Chicago area 20 years ago, and maybe only 75 people showed up. We would be at a much smaller hotel, and there would be just these small rooms that, maybe 50 people could have dinner in or something. And we would just set up a number of tables, but we had lots of fun. It's just amazing to see how the hobby has grown and these conventions have become so enormous. Okay, and also from that same era, this is Morris Randall building a super CPU at one of these shows, maybe more like 2002. And standing behind him is Greg Nassau of C64OS fame now, looking on behind him, very young. So back in those days, Morris was well respected and reliable, and he was very friendly and attended all the shows. So it's too bad how things worked out with him, but that is still how I remember Morris from those days. And here's Dave and Sherry Moorman, who ran Lodestar magazine after Fender Tucker retired. I'm not sure what's on that CD. Maybe that's like a Lodestar collection there. And here's a neat one. This is Jerry Ellsworth, back probably around 2002, before she made the C64 DTV and all the other projects. And that's Randy beside her. He bought the first Nerd Rock album I ever made. He was a fan. Shows you what his taste in music is like. Here's Jim Peters himself with his Commodore display probably about 20 years ago. And kind of randomly, here's one of Jim's cars. Do you know the model? I can't remember what it is. I think he even modified it to be shorter. At the show, I was given this photocopy from this Vic Games book. I'm really sorry. I do not remember your name. Who gave this to me? Maybe Eric? If I made a mistake, I'll pin a comment. So what he was really excited about was that this was a maze generator program for the VIC-20. There's that. Here, let's get this in one shot, hey? So it's around page 185. This book is probably up on archive.org or on BombJack or whatever. Okay, so just pause that and type it in. I'll try to get around to playing around with that to try to figure out how it works. But it seems like an interesting maze generator program. They even include a flowchart. Okay, so thank you for that, though. Oh, looks like a neat little algorithm. So I've known the CityXen guys for a long time, but finally got to meet Deadline of CityXen in person. Had a really good time hanging out with him and checking out his projects and just getting to know him. Neat to make new friends. What's really neat is that he made this new game called Whackadoodle, and we'll play in a bit, but I just want to draw attention. It uses a custom controller that was made by Retro Game Boys. That controller is really beautiful, I think. So these Retro Game Boys, they make all kinds of custom controllers. So just to highlight it, there's a ColecoVision joystick, Intellivision, Vectrex, Atari 7800 Robotron controller, Atari 5200, and so on. But they're even willing to make custom controllers like this. Okay, so we'll go check out the game and then come back. Okay, give Whackadoodle a try. I really like the plugs on these controllers, like the future. So, joystick and port 1. And the CityXen guys did build like a full-size one of these. That's almost like an arcade game with great big buttons. I'll show a picture of it from their website. But of course, that's not very practical to get one of those out to everybody. So that's how they came up with the idea of a more compact controller. Okay, so here's the attract mode for the game. Whackadoodle version 1.1, music, unused fairground tune. Kind of in keeping with this being kind of a carnival game or that sort of thing. Saul Cross, he does a lot of Commodore game development. So that's cool. And the idea here is there's good things that you do not hit and bad things that you do hit. Interestingly, money with a dollar sign is a bad thing, so you have to hit the dollars. What is this, some kind of hippie game? Okay, let's give it a try. Here we go. So DOS is bad, nuclear something is bad, skulls are bad. Okay, star is good. Chai is good. Dollar's bad. Pow. It's good. Skulls are bad, except when they keep your brains in. MS-DOS is bad. Dollars are bad. Ooh, I almost missed that. Skulls bad. Okay, so stars, try. So you see what I was saying about kind of the Hogan's Alley element. You gotta decide if you want to hit it or not. Hearts are good. Where's that Commodore symbol? DOS. Dollar. Oh, it was getting short. Skull. Ah! It really ramps up here. Oh, Commodore, Commodore finally showed up and I hit it. Oh, I did it again. That Commodore symbol is looking like a dollars to me or something. Oh. Good. I let one go. Ah, I hit life. Okay. Better lucky next cycle. Oh no, bye. Finally score dead. 26. Game over. I just want to point out how it says J1 LUDRF. So it's like left, up, down, right, and fire. So you could just use a regular joystick if you wanted. Deadline was talking about making other games that use this controller, which would be cool. And I was thinking actually for some sort of, I guess like an asteroids kind of game, you could have rotate left and right and thrust and fire and whatever, hyperspace or something. This kind of layout could actually work for quite a few games. Could do a platformer with left and right. And, for certain games, a button is actually preferable to a joystick, like Well, for Asteroids, the original arcade game was all buttons. So that's pretty neat. And yeah, it could just be programmed just like a regular joystick. And you could also even do combos that would be illegal, like you could press left and right together, for example. So anyway, that's really cool. Thanks very much for making that. And this game can be checked out on itch.io. And of course, check out the CityXen YouTube channel if you haven't already. There's even a video or two where I appear. Okay, I now have my very own Meatloaf shirt. And I talked to Jamie, who's the head of the Meatloaf project, a couple of years ago. In addition to the shirt, I was actually given my very own Meatloaf. Ooh, cute little sticker. Okay, so this is something I want to show in more detail in another video. But basically, it is a disk drive emulator. So it's got a regular Commodore IEC drive. You just plug it in to your Commodore computer. Jamie and Deadline of CityXen, who I believe made this nice little case for it. You plug it in, and it does need to be USB powered. It has a spot there for a micro SD drive. So it'll act very much like a SD to IEC drive that, the sort of thing I use all the time. But it's also Wi-Fi compatible, and it allows you to type like load commands over the internet. So you can just plug it in and type load quote, and instead of just being limited to the regular file name, you can load something off the internet, all kinds of stuff. And it doesn't need any special drivers or anything. It's just like, you just plug it in and it works. So seems pretty amazing. I plan on covering that in more detail. Thanks to everybody. I might have forgotten to say thank you every time. All right, and many of you probably know of June from the YouTube channel Nybbles and Bytes. Well, June was there, and she had just made a new game here. Okay, called The Legend of the Drunken Snake. Does that come through? And released it on floppy disk and include an SD card here. Okay, so that's a Commodore 128 game. So let's give that a try. Okay, and booting Nybbles, The Legend of the Drunken Snake by June of Nybbles and Bytes, an appropriate name for the game. Nice little intro, Nybbles and Bytes, 2024 Nybbles and Bytes Studios. Legend, actually Legend of the Drunken Snake. Okay, so the game is on the 40-column screen there using the VIC-2. And as you might expect with a game called Nybbles, you got a snake. We'll eat an apple. Right now the snake is 4 units long. There, now the snake is 5. That's pretty normal, but you might notice that there's these bottles of something, and when you have one of those, the game starts glitching out. And I believe that's because, as the title implies, the drunken snake, we're imbibing here. And actually, the game has some pretty interesting graphic effects. So if you drink enough, I'm not sure if eating the apples actually brings down your drunkenness level. I'm not entirely sure what's happening here, but June told me to just keep having the bottles there. Now your head gets really big. And notice that something's happening on the 80-column screen now. Another one of these. Okay, there. Now there's kind of like a blue thing that's opened up here. It's kind of hard to see, but we will run into that. And now we're over on the other screen, and we have a game of Tetris going on. Or almost Tetris. It's kind of like bits of nibble snakes but for whatever reason you have a very limited supply of those units. It says left, so now I think the game will end, and now we're back over in the Nybbles game on the other monitor. Oh, there's that portal again. Okay, so now we have 23 units left, so it seems to depend on the number. That's how many total cells are in these blocks, and I found just getting one line is actually quite a challenge. Okay, now we've got just 7 left. I can't fit that one in there. Okay, so here, if I drop this in, we'll finally get a line. Okay, there. And now, oh! We went back into the snake game, but because I ran into the wall before I had a chance to react. So that's the game. It's a strange one. It's pretty neat to use the dual monitor, and the glitched out effects are very interesting, and perhaps the best simulation of drunkenness that I've ever seen on a Commodore 128. Not that I actually know anything about that, but... Alright, so thanks for the game, June. Good work on it, and it is very creative. Oh, here, one more time through the portal. Here he goes. Well, if you press the button, the snake really speeds up. Okay, yeah, I don't even have enough units here to make a whole line. There. So I'm not sure if it's just random or not. The instructions don't really seem to say, like, if there's a way of earning more of those Tetris units when you play the Tetris game. Alright, thanks, June. And a real highlight for me was I was there hanging out with the Style guys, and there's this guy standing there for a little while, and he looked like he kind of wanted to talk to us or whatever, so I asked him how it was going. He came up, he said, well, I want to thank you for showing my program in your videos, he says to me. And I'm like, what? And he says, the SnapTerm. And that is the little terminal program that is built in to the Super Snapshot. And I used it in my Information Society video. And I've shown a couple other times. And in fact, every time I freeze the Super Snapshot, Snapshot is sitting there, option number 6. Or then it dawned on me that this is the programmer of SnapTerm, Matt Desmond. But what I had never connected when I saw that was that Matthew Desmond is the same Matthew Desmond who made DesTerm, which is a Commodore 128 terminal from, I think, 1990, which for those of us that continued using the Commodore 128 into the 90s, that was the terminal that many of us used to get online and, log into a shell command, do not just BBS stuff, but actually access the internet through a Unix shell account from our Commodore 128s. So DesTerm was huge, and here was the author of it just showing up and as a real surprise. So I had a really good time talking to Matt. So he gave me something really neat. The user's guide to DesTerm 128 version 2. So make this clear, he wrote 2 different terminal programs, one that's built in the Super Snapshot, and then this one. So there's all the instructions for it. But he updated the manual last year. And there's the label DesTerm 128 version 2.0 by Matthew E. Desmond, copyright 1990, Desmond Software Industries. Please copy before use. Try booting up DesTerm here, just resetting the Commodore 128. There we go, DesTerm 128 version 2, written by Matthew E. Desmond. I think that's using that fancy high-res C128 video mode. Support shareware, send in your $25 registration fee now. enthusiasm of youth. DesTerm 128 version 2, and yes indeed, it plays the Indiana Jones theme song. And it automatically boots up this, automatically loads this text file. Welcome to DesTerm 2.0. This is the long-awaited release of DesTerm 2.0. It may be freely distributed by anyone. A $25 shareware fee applies for extended use of the program. A small price to pay for quality software like this. Oh, Matt, you're a run stop person, one word. I guess we can still be friends. There's all the files included on the disk. So anyway, it's a great terminal program. I'll have to think of an actual use for it when I'm not making a video about 50 other things. So I had a fantastic time talking to Matthew, asked him all sorts of nerdy questions. And the really exciting news is that he's getting back into Commodore programming now. So if you check out his website, factorofmatt.com, and he's got new projects there. One is DesTerm. Got a poorly C64? DesTerm can help diagnose it. So it's like the dead test, but with even more features. And also DesTerm SL, the same program, but uses the SwiftLink cartridge to communicate by terminal so that even if the C64's VIC isn't working, you can still talk to the dead computer if enough of the other parts of the computer are working. Really cool stuff. And yeah, I just had a lot of fun hanging out with him. So thanks, Matt, for finding me and the whole style game too. And hanging around and just had a great time. It turns out he's a Canadian as well. Exciting. Okay, and I saw my friend Jess, who's been working on this light cycle duel game for a couple years, and kindly gave me this copy. I'll show this briefly, but this is going to make it into another video that I worked on. We actually recorded a conversation between Jess and I at VCF. So that should be in another video soon. I've got an idea to tie Tron, and this is like Tron light cycles, and tying it into breaking out the game grid in Jess's game, and then also in other Commodore 64 games. So watch for that. I gotta get that together soon. Oh yeah, and the original light cycle that was released last year, this Deluxe, is being improved. So now Light Cycles is a 4-player game. So you can use this adapter that gives you 2 9-pin joystick ports that plugs into the user port. So you can play 4-player games on the C64. And this is becoming a fairly standard accessory. So there's actually quite a few games that make use of this. And Jess's Light Cycle Deluxe is another game. Actually, my friend Darren Folds is working on a 4-player mini RPG that will use this as well. Lots of neat projects for my friends involving 4-player play on a Commodore 64, which really is a lot of fun. We had a lot of fun playing the game too.
That's great. Let's do it. Okay, without further ado.
Am I going to be green or am I blue?
You are blue.
I'm blue. Nice. I'm out.
Oh!
Are you red or green?
No score.
Okay.
I am red.
You're red. Okay. I'm blue. You're red.
Pedal to the metal, Robin.
Yay, blue.
You sunk my battleship. I tried to put different fun messages in between rounds.
Ah.
Oh, it wasn't that one. We're tied at one.
Okay, so look for more about that soonish. Okay, and some other games I picked up. My friend Mark sold these to me for a good price. Here's Viper Patrol. Some of these I picked up just because they were like really unusual. This one's got like, you know, Battlestar Galactica lookalikes on there. That's pretty cool. It's all like Battlestar Galactica ripoff, but muscles tense, beads of perspiration dot your brow as trained eyes search the scrambled message. Mission control has spotted enemy activity in the 7th quadrant. Your backyard. From Key Punch Software. And here's Captain Power and the Soldiers of the Future. This was a TV show, I guess late 80s. It didn't do super well, but it has a real cult following. There's been a couple good videos about it on YouTube in the last year or so. Kind of post-apocalyptic, sci-fi, aimed at kids, but really it was kind of a bit more of a grown-up show. And they had these like laser gun toys that somehow interacted with the TV for an interactive play experience. That's a TV show. And then, of course, there's a little bit of some spin-off merch here like this Commodore game. And here's Ardok the Barbarian. Goofy. The reason I got this one is because you look at those screenshots, European viewers might be familiar here. This is actually like a reskinned version of the Asterisk game. Was it Asterix in the Magic Cauldron or something like that? I should look that up. But anyway, this is, for whatever reason, the American version. I guess they didn't have the license for Asterisk, or maybe so few people know about Asterisk in North America that they didn't want to bother. I'm not sure. So anyway, that's kind of neat. And here's Trantor, the Last Stormtrooper. So just some kind of weird C64 games that, you know, I didn't have in my collection, and some of them I've never really even heard of before. Not necessarily good. Oh yeah, and they're all like sealed, brand new. So anyway, I'm not gonna open them right now. Maybe later. And my friend David also found this Dragonsden cartridge, and you see how it's got the weird form factor. Most Commodore games came in a box like this one here, or at least in my experience. So this is the normal one. So these ones are, I think, the same height. But you see they're exactly half the width, really close, maybe slightly more than half the width. So this is kind of a weird form factor. And this particular game is relatively rare. And also it's kind of like an unofficial spiritual successor to Lazarian, which is the first Commodore game I ever bought. I'll show a little bit of gameplay, maybe of the two side by side, so you can see how similar they are. Not that this is a total ripoff, but it just has a lot in common. By the same Commodore programmer, too. Okay, so thanks very much, David. Okay, and we're reaching the end here. Now an update from Eric, also known as Jesus Eric, on his Ultimate 64 project. And we record this right at VCF Midwest. Sorry about the noise, but I think you'll be able to hear everything okay, I hope. Okay, I'm here back with Eric and his CBM SX64 Ultimax, the ultimate portable executive computer.
Yes.
And
So for scale, that's an 8.5 by 11 sheet of paper.
8.5 by 11. There's the Illinois
vanity license plate.
There's that disk drive. There's the screen. And here's the keyboard. Stick your hand in there for scale.
So,
Right on. So what's going on, Eric?
well, I got things working. So when you turn it on, the drive light comes on.
Oh, yep, nice.
So, and it's running Randy Rossi's bare metal C64 emulator, so it comes straight right up. I kind of took some liberty with the ROM file there.
Yes.
And,
so you adopted the header for the boot there. Okay.
Yeah. The lettering is done on a Cricut vinyl cutting machine.
Yeah.
And my friend Crystal did all the layout for it by hand. She did each individual letter.
Nice.
I found the right fonts for it and everything. I did the badging over here.
Yeah.
It really works.
You can type on it.
Yes.
You can type on it. Wow.
The space bar needs a little work. It's a piece of gutter downspout material. So these are the only ones that work. I might have to put like a stabilizer bar in it, like a real space bar.
Yeah.
You know? So the sound works. There's a little cheap Chinese TV controller board back here.
Okay.
Actually.
Nice.
So it goes into the AV, and the speakers come off the controller board, so it actually does, have sound and everything.
Wow.
The Pi is powered off the USB service port on the TV controller.
Yeah.
So it just one power into the TV controller, and everything runs. There's the Pi so far right now.
And that's with the actual brains there?
Yeah.
That's the Pi?
Yeah.
Okay.
And
there's all the wiring.
Pi too. These
Okay.
are the switch stacks here. This is what the return key sort of looks like.
Yep.
And
Is this just waiting on more work?
yeah, I have to cut these apart.
Yeah.
These are the little individual serving dessert trays.
Yeah.
I have a new return key because this one is really wonky. And I just haven't put it in. I have to fix the F keys and do the edging here.
Yeah.
But I got the hydraulics.
Oh yeah,
here.
so it's got a hydraulic stand. Does it actually close okay?
Yes, it'll close all the way.
Yeah.
It's got a genuine Fender amp handle on it. Because it's a portable SX, it has to be portable.
Yes. So how thin, can you, even if you don't close it all the way, can we see how thin, like when it's closed, does it come at least part way down?
Yeah. Let me
Just
move
do
this.
that, yeah. So it's like, is it actually a guitar case? Or?
No, it's a hollow core bifold closet door.
Oh yeah.
So,
So it's only actually like a couple inches thick? Not even.
that was the hard part here, is that all of this stuff has to fit in a 20 millimeter thick space.
Wow.
So the LCD, everything is all like as tight as it can get. Like this is stuck on right now with alien tape, and that millimeter is too much because you can see it's rubbing on the keys when it's closed.
Yeah.
So it's a total labor of love. There's butterfly latches on here.
Yeah.
It closes up like a guitar case.
Yes.
It's a lot more done than
Yes,
when we
that's
first saw it.
huge progress on the CBM SX64 Ultimax.
Yes.
Okay, thanks a lot, Eric.
All right, take care.
Thanks, man. All right, I had a great time. Thank you for joining me in this tour, this look back, a fantastic weekend. If you can make it to one of these shows, please do. And if you happen to make it to VCF Midwest, then come and find me. Hey, thanks to my patrons for their support. Thank you for watching, and we'll talk to you next time.
On the C64 location 53280 controls the color of the border, while 53281 controls the color of the screen.